do you think there's perhaps some misconceptions about what an automotive MD does?
I ask you a question. Do you and I wear the same white shirt every day, same blue pants every day, wear the same watch every day?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Sgcarmart Chats. So we have with us here Wilfrid Foo. Wilfrid, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
Sure.
I first obviously have to address the fact that you hold quite a number of titles. So Managing Director Regional Direct Motor Insurance for Jardine CNC, and you're also Managing Director Cycle Carriage Singapore, and you're also Chairman of the Board of CNC Myanmar and Malaysia. So that's a lot. You're quite the overachiever. So I'm just curious, like, what does a normal day look like for you? Are you just running around from meetings to meetings non-stop?
Yeah, I mean, before all of that, I'm a husband and a father first. So pretty much the day starts with me getting the kids up, sending my daughter to school, or my wife takes my son to school, and then I hit the office. Once I'm in the office, it's like you said, back-to-back meetings and conversations. So organizing my day is extremely important. So it brings out the best version of myself by being present in each time slot that I have with people.
And it's 24 hours enough for you? Do you wish you had more time?
Well, work never really stops for me, even on weekends, I get calls all the time. Even when I'm traveling, customers call me from all parts of the world. So yeah, I mean, it comes with, it's the lay of the land, it comes with the turf.
And speaking of all around the world, I mean, obviously you are involved in multiple markets. So is there any particular market that's most dear to you or your favorite, and why is the correct answer Singapore?
Well, to be truthful and honest, no, there's no favorite market, because every single market comes with it lots of challenges and opportunities. The flavors of all the markets are different, the cultures are different, the people, the landscape are all different, so extremely exciting. So no, there's no favorite market for me actually. Yeah.
And I'm just curious, what does direct motor interest actually mean, or what does it actually encompass? Because I think it's not a term that you typically hear when it comes to business management in the automotive industry.
Right. I mean, Jardine Matheson and Jardine Cycle and Carriage Limited, they're conglomerates, right, with businesses across many sectors. So direct motor interest, or we call it dearly DMI, is actually a catch-all phrase for our cycle and carriage businesses in Myanmar, Malaysia, Singapore, and with the Setiawan family in Indonesia, we have a joint venture there called Tunas Ridian. That is also an automotive retailer.
Okay, so we have to talk about Singapore, because we are here in Singapore, right? And let's talk about Cycle and Carriage Singapore. So the CNC portfolio is diverse. We think of maybe some of the bigger brands, Mercedes, Kia, but the brand portfolio has expanded over time, right?
Yep.
But amidst this, I guess, diversity, we have a lot of different kinds of brands. Do you think there's something like a single through line to your approach to managing the different brands that ties all these brands together? Absolutely,
yeah. We put a marker in the sand, and we have a line called Exceptional Journeys that we truly believe in. It's centered around ensuring that we create wonderful people-related experiences for both the customers and our employees, to bring out the best experience in the ownership of a mobility solution like a car, for example. So that Exceptional Journeys line is really our raison d'etre, our reason for being. Everything that we do is focused upon how do we craft that next people-centric experience that's going to excite and fascinate consumers or even our employees. So one case in point, in every single year we bring our AMG customers for drives in different parts of the world. For them to not just experience the car in Singapore that they own, but also to experience AMG related performance and
how
drives.
The cars are supposed to be driven.
Exactly, on racetracks. I've brought customers to Autobahn, nice. To Korea, and these are things that we enjoy doing, because we see the huge smiles on our customers' faces, and that's exactly what we're about.
So we do have to talk about Chinese brands. I think we were just discussing this briefly before we jumped in the car. So I think perhaps CNC could be considered one of the early movers when it comes to these new Chinese brands, right? So you brought in GWM with Aura, you brought in Maxus. Why do you think these partnerships with these Chinese brands have been so meaningful, significant for CNC?
Well, I think the Chinese manufacturers have been around for a while, and in recent times you see that more and more received around the world, And with the brands overflowing from China, it's inadvertent that they'll come to our shores one day or another. So a few years ago, we already started bringing in some of the larger or bigger or more reputable manufacturers to the shores of Singapore, like Maxus, and more recently GWM, even Geely coming in second half of this year with the cars already on the road, like the Brabus and the Smart. It's extremely important to offer these options to Singaporeans, because the landscape for brands available for the automotive retail segment is growing and is burgeoning. And these Chinese manufacturers, they have good quality. They also bring technology and different propositions for different consumers.
And how do you think how have you seen customers reacting to these new Chinese brands?
I think it's quite favorable. A lot of people are willing to try the Chinese brands. A lot of them are curious mostly, but a lot has to be said to build the brands for the future with these Chinese brands, because a lot of them do not really have a heritage or a kind of understanding in the minds of consumers. So a lot of brand building, a lot of marketing still needs to take place before you see the more mass appeal of these Chinese brands.
In a way, a lot of these brands are new, right? And I think in Singapore, there's definitely a certain sense of you go with what you know that's established, history, heritage, that kind of thing. But I guess looking forward, do you think that this influx of Chinese brands will continue to grow? We've seen just this year alone, a couple of new brands come in, and do you think that's a trend that will continue in the future?
Yeah, I think there will be more and more Chinese brands, as well as with the advancements in technology and the great quality that China is being able to deliver. I think the reception of these brands will improve over time. But consumers do have to make an important choice. 85% of car owners in Singapore actually own one car only. So a car is an extremely important capex investment for the family. It's the second highest capex investment in the family. So making that
possibly
choice,
the highest,
possibly the highest, and it's important to consider the brand choice, the product choice beyond just the metal. You have to consider the entire ecosystem, the support that you're having, who you bought it from, what is the after sales setup looking like, and that's very important to consider, because when you are in need, you better make sure that the best people are around you.
That's true. So obviously we should talk about the fact that we are sitting in a Smart. This car was launched last week, I think. This is the newest brand to join the CNC portfolio. So where exactly do you see the brand fitting in across the broader brand lineup within CNC?
Right, we have quite a huge plethora of brands and a portfolio that straddles the mass to the premium and the luxury. This particular brand sits in the mass premium segment of the market. For the individual or the family that's looking for something that's well designed, that has really refined touches, attention to detail, technology and performance as well. So we're offering the Pro Plus, the Smart #1 Pro Plus, as well as the Brabus edition, which we're sitting in today. Well, this one's a beast. The Century Sprint is 3.9 seconds. 400-kilometer range on the battery, and a 10 to 80% charge in 30 minutes. I mean, this is all you would want from a car, and it's power packed and it's well finished. Great car. I fell in love with this car when I was in China last year and saw it in a photo shoot.
I feel obliged to have to always ask this question for any sort of big business that runs multiple brands, right? Is there concern about self-cannibalization? Because a lot of products exist in cross segments, I would say, right? There's electrification, there's wanting to be both a little bit mass and a little bit premium. So are you worried about that? Are you worried that you're hurting another part of your business?
No, I mean, we purposefully select the brands and the kind of product portfolio that provides for different segments of consumers. So this particular segment is for the well-heeled individual that's looking for design aesthetics, that's looking for great performance and innovation. And everybody knows the Brabus brand, a German brand with a huge heritage in auto tuning.
Yeah,
so
doing crazy things with cars.
Doing crazy things with cars and doing wonderful things insofar as experiences are concerned. So no, we don't see an overlap. Every single brand, every single product has its role to play. Because I asked you a question. Do you and I wear the same white shirt every day, the same blue pants every day, wear the same watch every day? No. Humanity and people in general will have different segments that like different things.
That's true. Unless you're Zuckerberg and you wear the one t-shirt every day.
Yeah.
So I do want to sort of look a little bit further ahead as far as the broader industry is concerned. So I understand that at CNC you guys have coined the term SCARD, SCARD, which is very appropriate, but it actually stands for Shared Mobility, Connected Cars, Autonomous Vehicles, Regulatory Changes, Electrification, and Demographic Changes. That's a lot of things to cover, right? And this is really to identify some of the potential disruptions in the industry. So I do want to talk about demographic changes, because I think that is an inevitable reality of where we are in the automotive space. And I think it probably also overlaps with the notion of shared mobility, right?
Yep.
So obviously we really are talking about younger Singaporeans, younger than you definitely, but I think younger than me as well, right? So I think there is possibly this new younger generation that are perhaps not so invested in personal car ownership.
Right.
What do you think about that, and what would your response to that be?
I think it's a life cycle conversation. I think at the beginning when you're younger, public transport in Singapore is great.
It is great.
It's great, it's convenient, it's clean, it's almost new. You know, I was brought up in a period of time where the first MRT was launched, you know, and that was great for me. But the reality is that it moves. At first, car ownership or personal mobility ownership is a want, not necessarily a need. But when you have a young family, when you have aging parents, as you go along in the life cycle, it becomes more accentuated as a need because you have to bring your kids to school, you have to bring your kids to the doctors, you have to bring your parent or the parents who are aging needs to visit the hospital for checkups, etc. It becomes more and more of a point-to-point solution that perhaps public transport doesn't resolve in totality. So I think personal car ownership will have an important part to play, whether today or tomorrow or in the future.
But do you think that the perhaps overall volume of individual car owners will change over time? Whether it will shrink, it will grow? Well, it can't grow because we have a fixed population cap, but do you think that overall population will shrink over time?
I think the mobility landscape will definitely change into the 2050s. You know, if you look at the 1950s and now, I think the world has changed. But personal mobility remains a cornerstone of our daily lives, and it's also a notion that is quite aspirational in people's careers, in people's lives. You know, that sense of convenience never be replicated by public transportation in totality. Today, Singapore is great. You can walk to an MRT station, take a bus there, but how many times have people been let down by the Grab driver or any private hire driver dropping your call for a ride when you need it in the rain to bring your child to see a doctor?
Yes, the worst time to try to get a Grab when it's like $50, $60 for a Grab.
Exactly, and you know what? I don't think I'm alone, because if you read the papers, you can see volumes of people commenting that, hey, you know, I would like to own a car, but it's very expensive. I can't bring my daughter to school. My grandparents, my parents can't get to the hospital, etc. I think, you know, personal mobility still has a space to play.
Let's move a little bit away from the work specifically and just more about you and your career, right? So you didn't start out in the automotive sector. I think you spent time in FMCG, at Unilever, at Nestle. What made you want to join the automotive sector, especially one like in Singapore where it's super competitive and it's quite a tough industry, I would say?
Yeah, I mean, the FMCG circuit that I was in was also a very competitive one. It was extremely fast-paced as well. But before I was 40, you know, I was offered an opportunity by Jardine Matheson and Jardine Cycle Carriage Limited to be a CEO of a public listed automotive company in Malaysia. So for someone before the 40s, I think that opportunity was something quite exciting for me, quite sexy for me as well. And I thought that was the right age to take something like that up, you know, and take that challenge up, because if anything was to happen, I still have quite a long runway to be able to recover. But you know, having said that, I really do enjoy this experience, and I'm extremely thankful and privileged for it.
And you mentioned, so you started in the automotive trade in Malaysia, right? So having then moved to Singapore, which is quite a different market, do you think there was things that you had to do differently, things you had to unlearn even?
I wouldn't use the word unlearn. I think it's layering the experiences, layering what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've learned. It's never unlearning. It helps me to bring method to the madness. When I look at a business context or when I look at a particular company, all the experiences stack up to give me a point of view, a point of reference, a point of understanding. Otherwise, the world may seem very chaotic. So nothing that I've unlearned. In fact, I've learned and kept layering on each other.
So, you've mentioned that you've been based in various countries, right? I think it's probably safe to say Singapore's the tiniest one that you've been based in. Do you miss anything about living abroad? And you know, I know that you've spent some time in Zurich, and how does that compare to somewhere like Singapore?
Of course, the climate is different, the scenery is different, the roads are different, many aspects of life are different. But what I do enjoy about my experience so far is the ability for me to meet many different people, come across many different cultures, and it taught me many lessons in practicing humility, perseverance, patience, empathy, because humanity is actually more similar than dissimilar. It's just that the context in which we were born in, where we live in, shapes the way we perceive the world. So that gave me a very clear point of what the world represents and what Singapore represents in that regard. Singapore is a utopia. It's the perfect island state where everything works.
Yeah,
99.9% of the rest of the world ain't like that. Yep. It makes me appreciate 100%. A lot of Singapore. So yeah, there's lots to enjoy and lots to appreciate.
And I think it's also one of those things, right? Is that it's only when you get out that you have that perspective to see things from different. But then, do you miss living abroad?
Sometimes I do. I enjoyed all my stays in all my countries because I was blessed to be surrounded by people that were fantastic. You know, you have preconceived notions of what different nationalities are like, but in reality, humans are quite similar.
Yeah, people are just people, right?
People are people. I do miss certain aspects of food and travel, but being back in Singapore is great.
And I mean, we've had an opportunity to talk to quite a lot of different automotive MDs, right? And so from your perspective, do you think there's perhaps some misconceptions about what an automotive MD does?
Now, of course, I mean, there's always this misconception that all automotive MDs are petrol heads or motor heads, you know? They can speak to all the specs of the cars and all that, but I think I've come across many automotive leaders that are multi-skilled, professionals that have experiences and expertise in many facets of business and not just cars. So yes, that preconceived notion of being a motorhead, only then can you run an automotive company is more of a fallacy.
But are you a petrol head though?
No, not really. No, my wife's a petrol head.
Oh, wow.
Not myself, no.
Yeah, so just to talk a little bit about cars, right? So we read some time back that you said that your dream family car was a GLE 450.
Yep.
Which is quite a particular choice, and I would say not a very conventional choice of, dream family car, right? So why the GLE? And that was a few years ago, and now the landscape has changed slightly when it comes to these cars.
Yeah.
Is it still the same answer?
I had the privilege of being in a Mercedes-Benz since I was young, and so I'm a fan of the brand, true and true for many years. And today I come into contact with the brand almost every single day, and what nostalgia keeps me in wonderment of this life that I have with this brand. And the GLE represents to me a spacious ride, a bigger SUV, a full-size SUV, for which I enjoy. I like the height profile, I like the space. I have a family of 4 of us plus a dog, so there's 5 of us.
Okay, so you need the space.
I need the space, and I like the comfort of the drive. So the GLE will always have a special place in my heart. And today, I think it is still the GLE.
Wow, even though, I mean, some would say that it's a little bit on the dated side as far as products are concerned, because you come with all these electric versions of all these cars, and you still aspire for the GLE. I mean, that's quite a car to hold on to, I must say.
Yes. I mean, it's undeniable that ride is luxurious. It is spacious. It's all terrain. You feel safe in the car. And it's roomy enough to have a great family moment. Yeah, but I do like the GLE still.
Awesome. Alright, so we'll see you guys back in the studio. Alright guys, so we're back here in the studio and Wilfrid's already busy practicing, getting his practice laps in. So I still have a few more questions, so I hope you can multitask quite well.
I try.
So we've talked about some car models, right? I do want to ask about some of the flagships. So the S-Class, I think the classic sort of luxury vehicle from Mercedes. And then obviously now we have the EQS. Do you have a preference between the two?
Self-drive EQS, chauffeur-driven S-Class.
Which I think is the correct answer.
Yeah.
You've lived in many places, right? And you've talked about the food in those countries that you lived in. Is there a go-to preference for you?
Yeah, pepper crab, Singapore.
Oh wow, that's very specific. And is there a specific place to get the best pepper crab?
Red House, the little Red House. Old school one.
Yes, that is really quite old school. I do want to ask, it might seem a little bit strange, about your hair care routine, because I feel like every time I see you, you have perfectly styled hair. So
hardly perfect today, but okay, I cut my hair once every 2.5 weeks. Every day I wash, and then I style every morning.
And that never changes. That's a routine for you.
Yeah, it's a routine.
Nice. We've mentioned that there are a lot of brands across the CNC portfolio.
Yeah.
Is there one that's your personal favorite? If I had to force you to pick
You
one?
know, this is potentially one of those questions that gets me in trouble because we do have a lot of brands. But like I said earlier in the interview, I'm born and bred Mercedes-Benz all the way. I've been a fan since I was young, so I would have to stay true to that.
And I'm sure you're very, very busy, but what would a perfect work week look like for you?
Perfect work week for me would be if I have time in the work weeks, Monday to Fridays, to have dinner with my family, and on the weekends to have full days with my children and my wife. That would be the perfect work week for me.
And how often do you get that?
When I'm not traveling, then that's pretty much what I try to aspire to,
nice.
but seldom.
And I'm sure you've had the chance to drive a lot of interesting cars in your time. What would we say is perhaps the most unique one that you've driven?
The G63. All-terrain monster, lots of power, four-wheel drive,
Sounds crazy.
goes up and down like ridiculous. But what I did enjoy was that counterpoint of it being extremely luxurious as well. So I did enjoy that ride a lot.
You drove that in Singapore or overseas or both?
Overseas, I did it in Ibiza, in Spain.
Wow, okay, that sounds like the exact kind of place that would have a lot of G63s running around.
Yeah, we were there for a driving experience.
Nice. And yeah, perhaps one final question, and I wonder if I already know the answer, but if you could only have one car for the rest of your life?
I stick to my guns, the GLE. Always.
Never gonna waver from the GLE.
No, yeah, I need to be consistent in it.
Okay, well, that's all the questions I have. How is your practice going? Are you...
Terribly! And I hate the board, but I'll try it at medium speed.
Well, ready to set a time?
Yeah, let's go.
We'll go on go.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Being very cautious. Alright, and across the line. What do you think? Where do you think? Where do you think that is and where do you want to be?
I think it's somewhere here, 13, 14, 15.
Well, I can tell you that your timing is 15.15,
So I'm
which
here.
puts you
Right there.
right smack in the middle, I think.
Claudius. You still got game.
I mean, I think that's a pretty good time.
Average lah.
Comfortable timing.
I beat Victor, so that's okay. Okay, I try the super speed one, okay? then let's see whether I die out, I burn out on this one.
Just in case you somehow get a 9 seconds.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Wow, not bad. Almost there. And across the line.
Okay, let's see.
Faster or slower?
Slightly faster only. Maybe like 14 plus lah.
And it is...
Consistent!
exactly the same!
Consistent. I take the first timing.
So just to be very clear, the timings are
1.5
and 3.5, 0.35 seconds apart.
Okay, I'll take the highest score then.
Well, consistent, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Right, so it puts you still right here.
Yeah, consistent.
It's a good time. Okay, so your time is on the board. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. Is there perhaps anything you want to tell our audience about, about the brand, about CNC, about what you're up to?
Look, we've always got exciting cars for you, and you will always be here for you. Exceptional journeys is our tagline, so you can be rest assured that when you get something from us, we'll be right there for you.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Do remember to like, share and subscribe to our channel, and you can also hit the notification bell to be alerted of all our upcoming videos. And of course, you can also find us on TikTok at Sgcarmart. So thanks Wilfrid, thanks for watching. Bye! So have you actually driven this car?
No, I haven't.
It's actually the first time for me seeing this car also. Because
Right.
unfortunately I wasn't around at either the media launch or the customer one.
Right.